Welcome to the Crypto Podcast. You can find all our episodes on thecryptopodcast.org. We're also on BitChute and YouTube, and you'll find the links in the podcast description. I also have the Awakening Podcast, Learn Polish Podcast, Meditation Podcast, and Speaking Podcast, and all can be found on roycon.com. Today, my guest, I'll actually read this because it's interesting, consulted 300 plus NFT brands, and you've partnered with Reddit, Twitter, and Quora. Please welcome Arvin Khamseh. Did I do it? Did I do it justice today?
It's perfect. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. So I suppose the best thing is you might just tell me your journey into crypto, because I know you were doing biohacking before that, which is very interesting to me as well. You might just tell me introduce yourself to the listeners.
Yeah, even when I was doing biohacking, everyone was rolling their eyes. I remember talking about things in there, the diets and everything I was doing back then. This is years ago, by the way. I had this brand called like Hack My Apology, and then I remember on podcasts, people would just roll their eyes, be like, "What are you talking about?" And then now it's just mainstream. It's very, very much mainstream. So so the way I got into crypto was back in 2016. Good friend of mine, Nick. He essentially introduced me to crypto by just showing me how invested he is. He literally sold everything he had and then put it into crypto. And then a few years later, I called him to see how he's doing. And I asked him, I was like, "Hey, Nick, how's work?" And he goes, "What work?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" And he goes, like, he's just traveling around the world. He's not really working. And so it just really panned out really well for him as far as just the investment he did. And this guy, by the way, never done any investment in his life prior to that. He's not like he wasn't working at a hedge fund or anything, like not Wall Street or nothing. Like doesn't have any experience, not in his family, or wasn't even an entrepreneur. He just really saw something in crypto back then and just went all in. And so that was my intro to that. And then now I have worked with a lot of public companies for the investor relationship marketing. And so I understood how people could, how companies could find short-term and long-term investors online, whether it be it, on social media platforms or anywhere on the internet. And so back into 2021, October 2021, when an artist from Italy, he approached me and he essentially told me about his NFT project. A lot of jargons he was using, I didn't even understand. But at the time, I just knew it would be like my knowledge from investor relationship marketing with public companies would be transferable to the NFT marketing. And I was right. When we sold out his very small collection, he only had like 10 pieces of art. And we sold it out in a week without building any communities, without doing any of those things that you would have to do right now to be able to sell out NFTs. And we just used Twitter ads and sold out his NFT. But to me, that was a proof of concept where I realized the knowledge that I'm bringing from investor relationship marketing could actually be really helpful to people that want to launch their own NFT collections. And so since then, literally that month, I believe I worked with about 100 NFT brands. And then since then, it's actually closer to about 400 NFT brands I worked with.
Wow, excellent.
Yeah.
And I've looked at a load of the different things, but I know that like some of the largest ones, Sands Vegas Casino, 7 million in 20 hours.
Yeah. And so, and that's the thing, is like a lot of them, I think the smallest project has been about $500,000. And it was Fragos that sold out in 7 minutes. It's just to some extent mind-boggling for myself as well, like how much money there is in the NFT industry. And I think so for people who don't know, the first one was in 2015 actually, but I would say last year it got somewhat more popular. So last year in 2021 it got somewhat more popular. And we had the Beeple that was sold for like $69 million. The Bored Apes and some of the icons in the industry that they sold a lot just showed to everyone that there's definitely value, and this is not just a expensive JPEG that you can just screenshot and or save as on your phone or your computer and then just hold it. It's not that. It's just actually more than that.
So
Yeah.
for say that casino project, you might explain it and maybe explain, because I know we've touched on it on the previous show, but because obviously sometimes listeners might know, you might explain exactly what NFT is.
NFT, yeah, sure. So first of all, it stands for non-fungible token as opposed to a fungible token. So something that's non-fungible, meaning like it cannot be duplicated. So if you think about any piece of art that's just only one version of it where you cannot really duplicate it, or even if you duplicate it, it won't be the same. So there's this I believe it's a red square. It's by some artist. It's like 100 mil. I don't know if you're familiar with it at all, but it's a really iconic piece of art. And it's just a square, and it's just essentially red paint all over it. There's like, if you look at it, you think like a 3-year-old did it, but the value of that artwork is actually 100 mil. And now, if you think about that, so you can like, we can just do it. Like right after this, we can just go create it ourselves. It's that easy, right? But it won't have, like, I can't sell it for 100 mil, right? The reason is that there's only one version of that, right? So the authenticity, the verification, that comes from the origin of the artwork. It comes from the NFTs. So NFTs are really, so the non-fungible tokens are, it could be audio, it could be video, it could be a moment in time that cannot be duplicated. And there's only one version of it. And it has a lot of utilities. It has a lot of use cases, a lot of reasons why it just came about. But it's a lot more than just an expensive JPEG, which what people could perceive it to be.
And like when it is the art, so the artist is actually selling this, and then the person can actually take it physically themselves as well? Or is it always being traded as a JPEG, let's say?
So it's always being traded as a JPEG, but it could be as part of the utilities of the specific JPEG that you also get the physical version too. And so, which is kind of cool because, in the past, I mean, there's a lot of use cases for NFTs. If someone wants to just think about like why, so why would you? Because I think a lot of times when people look at NFTs, they just look at maybe Bored Apes and maybe they don't get it quickly, like why. But there are a lot of use cases that's just far beyond what we see on the social media. So for example, verification. So for example, if you think about like in the clothing industry or design, let's say any designer brands, or let's say watches or anything that you wear, any accessories, like it's actually a big problem to authenticate what's fake, what's not fake. And so with NFTs, you'll be able to do that. You'll be able to actually have, so let's say if you buy a Rolex, it's going to have a document that comes with it that says like, this is a real one. And with the serial number, they can actually tell. Like if you bring it to like a Rolex store, they can tell if it's a fake one or not. So NFTs will serve that purpose, and actually a lot better than a piece of paper would do. And so that's one of the use cases. Another one is for the artists, they get to be closer to their audience. So for example, if you think about like, let's say musicians, when they produce a soundtrack, then they have to go through a company to distribute it to their fans. But now they get to do it themselves. So first of all, they don't have to pay the middleman, but they also don't have as much regulations, and they have more freedom on what they want to produce. Plus, they have actually larger influence themselves. So they can do a lot of things that they weren't able to do in the past, right? So that's another use case. The third one is like you can buy and sell NFTs at any time, it's like from anywhere in the world. That's actually really cool because a lot of times, it's hard. So specific countries, I know, for example, India, when you want to buy something past, let's say $6,000, you have to call your bank, and there's certain regulations in different countries. So that doesn't have, so because of the cryptos, doesn't have any regulations. So you have more freedom. Let's say, the artist itself can get a lot of value from producing NFTs because let's say I'm an artist, I sell you and I'm no one right now, I just started, I sell you my art for $5. You buy it from me, you receive it, and 10 years goes on. And then let's say I become someone really popular, right? And the artwork that you bought for $5 maybe now worth $1 million, but I don't get anything out of that. You now have my art that's worth $1 million and you can sell it for $1 million. But with NFTs, now I'm still connected to that art. So you can at any point find the origin of an art, who created it, who are the owners. Those are all recorded in the blockchain. And so that's really helpful. But also that means I, as an artist, once that value of that artwork that I sold to you for $5 that went up, I still receive royalties. So I get appreciated for my artwork for the rest of my life. And that's very important for artists because, if you think about the stereotypical artist, but we were told, maybe I was told actually in my childhood, was just starving artists, right? So people are broke, they go after their dreams. And so now that's changing because now they get to actually do what they love to do, and they don't have to worry as much about just paying the rent, right? So now, in fact, they could have a lot more power than a lot of people who are not even artists. So those are some of the use cases, but there are many, many more use cases, like buying tickets, for example, into the sport. Like there are a lot of counterfeit of tickets, like sport tickets. Yeah. You can actually battle that with NFTs. Many things where authenticity is an issue, NFTs could solve it. And then also a lot of people, like NFTs has actually been a vehicle for a lot of people to get into investing and make a lot of money as well. Like my sister, she literally made like 20K in a month just trading NFTs. That was her best month, but yeah. So that's, and just context. So she's 20-year-old, never done any investing in her life. She has not read even one book about investing, and maybe just watched a bunch of YouTube videos. And then, so that's just the accessibility, right? So like people who kind of missed the boat on Web 2, the transition to Web 2. Now the transition to Web 3, a lot of people actually find it accessible to actually get in and invest in NFTs. The price goes up, maybe they flip it, or they just hold on to it and they just get like really cool values. I can go on and on. Like there's for let's say authors, they can have like hidden chapters if you buy their NFTs, that you as an NFT holder only get to read that specific chapter from the author. There's so many.
And just because you mentioned about the musicians, because I'm currently writing a few books, so I'm conscious of this as well. So I know that a lot of people, when you're selling the book through Amazon or whatever, they're taking a big chunk out of the thing. Spotify, they pay pittance. I know of people that are on Spotify, and a lot don't even get it. So by actually going through this, so they're basically able to download the MP3 of a new song, and I presume the artist probably realized the value in that and put it there before they actually put it up to the likes of Spotify and things like that.
Exactly. And if they do it through NFTs, maybe they just add in a few more values to say, for example, if you hold the NFTs, maybe you get to meet with the artist maybe once a year, like as a group, like with all the holders, maybe, or like they get a ticket to this artist like show, or there's many applications to NFTs. So I think we are going through that place where I think I actually got to watch it. So I learned about NFTs, I want to say January 2021. I could see it before that too, but I didn't even touch it. Like I didn't do anything with it. But January 2021, that's when I actually fully discovered it. And then since then, I've seen a lot of phases into NFT, I guess in the NFT industry. Right now, we're actually at a phase where a lot of people are just dealing with the rug pulls and dealing with hacks and just all the I guess problems with NFT industry are just being exposed right now. This is literally the phase we're at right now. And the pace by which a lot of people understand, like getting to understand what NFTs are, that's also like accelerating. And then I believe next phase is going to be just a lot of regulations around it, which would mean like it may not be as more like as profitable, and it may not also be like different, to what we have right now. But we are going through phases, and we're going through it rapidly. And so,
and like because I know that a lot of the rich boys, the guys pulling the strings around the world, they're big into art, with the physical art, and because of there's no capital gains, there's no tax on that. Is it the same in the NFT world? Because I know with crypto, depending on the country, there's, whatever way you do it, but technically there is capital gains and you have to be careful of that. But with NFTs, how does it work?
Yeah, actually, so a lot of people do that where they, they count it as an investment, but then the money goes into like a trust, I guess, what do we call it? Trust wallet or trust fund?
Trust fund,
yeah. So it goes to a trust fund, and then what happens is like then later on, they can do this thing called like a promissory note. So the money is actually essentially just like coming back to them later on, but so they don't have to just go through like incredible amount of tax.
So they're basically taking out their initial investment as the promise, and leaving in the rest in the trust.
Yeah. And so that's cool, because then and then what I see typically people do is like they end up, and I do this myself, by the way, we end up just spending it on just like physical real estate. I mean, we could do virtual too, and I do virtual as well, but at the end of the day, you do want to have like, I guess, diversify your stuff in that sense. So I found that actually real estate is like a really common one. A lot of people make a ton of money in crypto or NFTs, and then somehow gets into real estate eventually. So yeah,
I think that's the secret in any investment, because like sometimes people, they put all their eggs in the one basket and anything can happen. I mean, I know a guy, he'd $500,000 was actually stolen from him. So when you especially on you have to be careful. I mean, you probably maybe touch on some of the fraud that's going on to make people kind of conscious of it.
I mean, 2 months ago I lost 100K in a minute. Like literally, I just connected my wallet to, there's actually a video about it on my Twitter. That's an Arvin K NFT. I literally told people exactly how that happened so that they don't have to go through it. But so that's the Arvin K NFT. But basically what it was like, I searched Decentraland. So I was going to buy some virtual land from Decentraland. And then the website that showed up first was actually a fake website, which is really weird, because I've never seen that before in my life, where like a website shows up above the actual website. So it has actually better SEO than the actual website. That's very strange. So I clicked on it. It looked exactly the same as Decentraland, connected my wallet, and then poof, like 100K was gone. Ouch. Yeah. And of course it was my fault too, to have that 100K in it, because I had all my land in it. For some reason, I was just being lazy, to be honest. And of course, that's what you get for being lazy. So I didn't have it in a like a cold wallet. I didn't have that, like all those lands in cold wallet. So then I just lost it in seconds. And then, but that's not it. Like there's so that was for me, but there's plenty I've seen, like even like 2 days ago, 2 brands, one of them like Tribex, they like literally, I think in 5 hours, 6 hours, they lost 600K. So they started the mint, and then something happened with their smart contract, and then some I don't know, some hacker, they took ownership of the smart contract, transferred all the money to his wallet, and then when we tracked that wallet, by the way, it had 2 billion in it, and so. And apparently it's the same hacker that actually hacked Azuki. So for people who know what the NFT brand is, Azuki. But the crazy thing is like, it's like to me, I feel like really bad, because this is our thing. Like this NFT community is really our stuff. It is our chance to actually have freedom and have like, to have that decentralized world. So if we talk negatively about it, or like we just put it down, like actively, no one's going to pick it up for us. And so, but I see that like in a lot of times, like people like, some brands make money in NFTs, and then everyone says like, oh, it's a cash grab. It's like, you have no idea like how much this brand actually spends time, like sleepless night, and the team that goes behind it, like what actually goes on into like what they do. And then sure, they make a lot of money, but that's perfect. Like that's amazing. We should be happy for like people making a lot of money, right? And then it so happens actually those brands that make a lot of money, they actually give away a lot of money to like a lot of charities, to do a lot of great things with their money. But I feel like we're at a point where there is that there's that vibe in the NFT community where people are not realizing no one else is responsible except ourselves for this NFT. There's no bank to blame. Like it's us. And so I think there's definitely room for just understanding and just awareness on saying, hey, like we came up with this whole idea of decentralized, I guess, world. And then now we have to actually just be responsible. So like the fact that we lose money, it's actually our fault. Like we need to learn how to not lose money, right? It's not like we can't blame people. We can't blame hackers. We can't like, it's just not going to work like that. And even like rug pulls too, like if you go around and just calling every single NFT brand a rug pull, it won't do us any good. Like then all that happens is just like FBI, let's say, for example, they would take over to control the situation. And then everything would just be regulated, not by us. It would be by a centralized government again. So it's like that defeats the whole purpose. So I find that like actually it's just like really strange that people don't think about like what responsibility we have right now to actually make it a better community, make it a better experience for everyone. It's like it's literally our thing. So
and it's strange because I actually had discussed that with somebody about what you said, the website that they change it and you just assume they have everything replicated, but the fact that it came up on the search engine beforehand, I mean, like I know from one of my podcasts exposing a lot of the stuff, Google, a lot of these, Facebook, unfortunately they're not the good guys, and there's a good chance that they're actually orchestrating all this just to make people, go, oh, I don't want to be doing this, and to keep away from it.
Yeah. And I see this in social media too. Like someone talks about like a brand. I was like saying, like I literally saw it on LinkedIn yesterday. Someone was just posting about, they have zero like knowledge of like this specific brand that they're talking negatively about. And then they're talking about it and they're saying, oh, they're like cash grab, rock pull, blah, blah, blah. Why do they make a lot of money? They don't probably care about people. It's like that. Those are exclusive events, but sure. And then what's worse is that I see a lot of people commenting under it and just like agreeing with it and just like sharing it. It's like, but what do you think you accomplished with that? Like at the end of the day, like literally we get nothing out of that. Like if anything, NFTs could bring a lot of like accessibility to people. It could actually distribute the wealth a lot, like to everyone's favor, really. So people can, like my sister would never ever be able to just like get into some like random business in a few months, start making 20K a month. That's just, I never done that in my life. Like I've been in marketing since like 2012. Like it wasn't like that. Like when it was like first 3 months, I started making 20K a month. That's just not a thing. You know what I mean? So I think it's like the perfect opportunity. It's just so good for us. And then we're just not gonna, we just shouldn't like really ruin it. Like we should actually just like nurture it and just make it a lot better and just bring a lot of like positivity into it versus like, just putting it down.
No, brilliant. And what I love actually is you're sharing what happened, Jay, because a lot of people, they don't want to do that. And I think that's the best thing that you can do, because once you share it, one, you will never make that mistake again. And two, you will help a lot of people to be cautious of that. And like, just say on the crypto invest, I mean, I done a course on that, and the guy has like 47 different tips on how to actually, so if you really want to check out the crypto that you're investing, there is ways of making sure that it's safe, instead of just, following some TikToker that says, hey, you need to go into this. And unfortunately, that's what people are doing. They just, they do. And then they're the guys that are complaining and writing on the.
Exactly. And same thing with like, so for example, one of the things I tell NFT brands to do is just influencer marketing. And then what they do is like, they just go to an influencer, they pay this influencer, and they just sit back, and then they're expecting results. And then once that doesn't happen, which of course it wouldn't happen, because like the influencer doesn't like, they get like so many requests. You have to actually prepare them. You need to do like pre-production, post-production, what like the offer that you have in that video for them, like how they're gonna do the video, all those little things that actually matter. But what people think is like, well, I paid this influencer, and then this influencer did nothing, so they're a scam. It's like, okay, like how is that accomplishing anything for you? Like, and so that's what that's what the industry has become. Like everyone's just calling each other out on things that just has zero like relevance to like reality. And I think we're gonna get past it. You know, a lot of great people also out there just like spreading like awareness, positivity in it too. Like they're actually sharing things with like evidence, with real data, hard data. So I say we're gonna get past it, but it's just like that's the current state we have. Like a lot of people just making like blaming other people on things, and of course being behind a keyboard and blaming other people is like the easiest thing to do. And so it's like people take that, you know, path of like least resistance and just do that. Yeah.
Like with the different podcasts that I got, especially the one that's kind of controversial, it's like the things that people write, they would never say to your face.
No.
It's like people get extremely brave. And what you'll find if you actually go into, it's always the ones that don't have the picture or have maybe all.
Yeah.
There's never somebody that's fully transparent that's abusive. It's always, right. So you just know it's either, I don't know.
Yeah.
Some working center that's actually doing this or what, but never take it to face value. Like don't ever let it get to, you know, stay in the positive vibe. That's the way I always say.
Exactly. Yeah.
And there was another one that because I like your website actually, because you've got like details of different projects, and you know you can read more, and you actually go into it in a lot of detail. It is actually very interesting. The Frogos one, it was like 2,222 NFTs. You might just talk a bit about that. I thought that was
So that's a really fun project. I mean, I just give people some sense like. So I am the founder, we have a lot of marketing meetings, of course. And so prior to them selling out, and even past selling out, so now we're focusing on like the staking features that they have and like increasing full price, so on and so forth. Now, so let's say if I have an hour with the founder on a call for marketing meetings, he spends half an hour literally just talking about how handsome the frogs are. And like literally every time he just shows me these things as if I've never seen them before. and so we talk about like how like handsome they are, and then we start an actual meeting. And so I say that because this is very important. Like if you like just the affinity people have toward their own artwork, and it's all hand drawn for him. And so that's also another thing where like community appreciates it. Like actually my sister is a holder of that NFT. Like on the day that it was revealed, she literally called me, and then for half an hour she was talking about the Frogos too. Like I'm like, I know guys, like I actually been part of this project. Like you guys don't need to tell me, but but in that community, so the point is the community is very tight, where a lot of people just so excited about the art. And that's actually very interesting because at the beginning, we didn't have a lot of utilities. It was actual type of like PFP project, like the profile picture type of project. We didn't have a lot of utilities. We do now, like we have the staking and so many things going on. We have the coins and everything. But at first, it's just like it's a good representation of a PFP project that can actually distill like really cool values in the community. So then they're very connected and they just really love the art. And so we've had that. And now the way it worked is we essentially built a Discord, built a Twitter, and it wasn't really large Discord and Twitter neither. Like it was, I want to say at the time of the the mint day, we probably had maybe 2,500, 3,000 people in the Discord, which is not that many. Typically, I like people to have 5 times the number of their collection size. So let's say 3 to 5 times. So let's say if it's a 10,000 collection size, then I'd like people to have 30 to 50,000 people on their Discord. But in this case, again, like we broke the rules because the community was like very strong. They just post memes everywhere. They go like ribbit. They have put their frogs, everywhere. So so we got away from not doing that. And then also, so the things we did Instagram ads, we did Quora ads, and people in Europe, by the way, listening to this, they may not know what Quora is. Apparently, Quora is something that's not known in European countries. But like in the US and Canada, we definitely know like what it is. And actually India as well. Like those are apparently 3 countries that they know what Quora is. So it's spelled as Quora. But anyway, so we did Quora ads, Instagram ads, and then paid influencers. And this was in a Solana blockchain. Again, also Solana, the cool thing about Solana is that there are a lot of influencers that are just excited about Solana growing. And so they helped a lot as well. And so it was a combination of those. We built the Twitter, we built the Discord, and we did a lot of retargeting a few days before the mint day. And so we showed people, hey, this is the mint day coming up, maybe 5 days left, 4 days left, 3 days left. Just really just like we call it a tease. We did the tease. And then on the mint date, we did more ads showing people, hey, the mint is live. And then literally 7 minutes after the public sale was on, we sold out. Like the entire thing was just bought. And we had a lot of whitelisters. So I think that's another key in why this project was successful. So whitelisters, for people who don't know, essentially people who give their wallet address to the I guess founders of the NFT project to be I guess included in the smart contract. So they're pre-approved to buy the NFTs at an earlier date typically. And so we had a lot of those people as well. And they bought plenty as well. And I guess for people who, I guess the mystery of how like a lot of brands, like, I've worked with that they sold out in 7 minutes, 10 minutes, 1 hour, it's typically because whitelisters buy the whole thing, like almost 80 to 90% of the collection, they buy it. And then when we open it to the public, there's not much left for the public to buy. That's why it just happens so quickly. And so the just public comes in, maybe, that those few that NFTs that are left, people buy them. And then that'll be the, sellout.
And are that community then trading with each other? So somebody kind of realizes, hey, the more of these I've got, the better value it will be.
Yeah, actually, so one of the strategies, so up until the sellout, all our focus was just building Discord, building whitelisters, building Twitter. That's literally what it is. And that's, by the way, true for any NFT brands. But past the sellout, then we actually surveyed everyone who was a holder of the NFT. We asked them what countries they're from, what age they were from, what age they were, if they were married, or if they were single, like all sorts of information. I just wanted to get a clear sense of who the buyers are. And then what I did was like, so we just introduced this thing where we said, hey, if you hold, because we noticed some people hold like 10, some people hold like 20 NFTs. And then we noticed, we said, okay, and we thought about it. It's like, okay, we asked them too. We're like, hey, if you're holding 10 plus, why are you holding 10 plus? Like, that's crazy. Like, why? Like, and so we literally asked them. And so they gave us the reasons. And then we realized from those reasons that we can incentivize people to actually hold more. Now, the concept behind a lot of the holders holding a lot of NFTs is that if, let's say, I as a holder have 30 NFTs, chances are I'm so invested in this project, I've doubled down so hard on this project that I'm not going to go list my NFTs for some low price. So I really believe in this project, right? So this is kind of like a cycle. It's like I have to believe to buy a lot of NFTs, and if I buy a lot of NFTs, I believe more in the project, because now I'm really invested. I showed it with my actions, right? And so what we did was we actually changed that distribution. We made it so that many more people actually moved into holding maybe 5 plus, 10 plus. And then that stabilized our floor price, because these guys were just not literally the most loyal people. We could ask them, be like, hey, just do not list anything, and they would just not do it. We also incentivize people who listed their NFTs to delist it. And we would give them, let's say we said like, we're gonna airdrop like a baby frog, or you know what I mean? So like bunch of things we came up with as a benefit. So then people buy more NFTs, and then also if they've listed it, delist it. And that's how we actually increase the floor price for the froggles, and we continuously doing that. So that's actually one of the things like brands don't think about. This is going to be your life past you sell out. This is a community. If you don't like them, it's not fun. So because you have to be with them. Like literally, if you drop talking to the community, everything just goes haywire. It's a lot of times I think people think about a brand that they just gonna sell out, and then maybe they move on to the next project. But the reality is like you need to really love that project, and then just continuously like serve that community that you built. That's the proper way of actually doing it. But of course, people find it easier to just move on from one project to another. So that's what typically do.
And like, if there's sales then in between, I mean, obviously when it's minted is the actual terminology for going up.
Yeah.
So the artist is making his, but does he get anything then when it's being sold? Is there any kind of percentage goes back?
Yeah, so there's the royalty. I believe is 7.9% royalties on all the trades that the founder is getting. On the day of the mint, I believe he made somewhere around 400 and something, 460K, I believe.
And is that 7 point odd? Is that just what he determines, or is it a kind of industry standard?
Yeah, no.
Like,
so the standard is somewhere around. Well, you can do anything if you want. Like you can do 30%, but no one does that. So typically, people do anywhere from 3 to I would say 7%. That's the typical thing. Some people do 10%. I think Gary V, he does 10% for his project. But most people closer to like 7-ish.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And just fine. We've gone past it because I was trying to keep that, but I'd love to get you back because I know you're going on a speaking tour as well, and we might include that in the show notes. But
Cool.
SOL, because was that what he uses?
Solana.
Yeah, I don't know what that is, to be honest. It's the first time I came across it. So is that just connected with NFTs, or is it certain crypto form? That's
an altcoin essentially. So that's Solana blockchain. So just like you have like Ethereum, you have Bitcoins. So Solana is its own blockchain. And for people who are actually deciding on this, if they want to do their own collection, so typically, so I would say majority of people, they go and build their NFTs on Ethereum because that's the one that's mostly known by people, and that's actually thanks to Opensea for that, because Opensea is the one that's actually mostly known to people. Like if you ask a marketplace, everyone just thinks of Opensea. The reality is that there are many actually marketplaces out there, but everyone just knows Opensea, and that's it. Now on Solana blockchain, the I guess marketplace that everyone knows is called Magic Eden, and so if you're a buyer of NFTs, if you want to buy NFTs that are on the Solana, you just go to, for example, a marketplace like Magic Eden. If you want to buy NFTs that are based off Ethereum, you go on Opensea marketplace. But as far as the NFT, I guess founder, you just got to think about how Ethereum is mostly known to people, and that's the first thing that comes to mind for a lot of people. So it's actually easier to tell people to say, hey, this is the blockchain we are. So you don't have to explain that. If you just build your NFT on something like XRP, where almost no one does that, like very few people do it, then now you have to explain XRP to people. You have to explain your NFT. You have to explain, you have to explain NFT and your NFT. And then XRP. And so there's a lot of explanations, a lot of things to communicate to your community, versus if it's on Ethereum or Solana, it's a lot easier.
Okay. Excellent. Listen, thoroughly enjoyed our conversation, and I will definitely love to get you back because I love the way you explain things, because sometimes it's very confusing and not everybody's got the skill set to actually simplify it and say it way. Because once I understand it, because I'm still bamboozled, to be honest with you, half the time, and you know, I'm a lot more knowledgeable today after this conversation. So you might let people know how they can get in contact with you, or websites and different things.
Yeah. So as for the case studies that you were mentioning earlier on, they can go on soldoutnfts.io. So that's soldnfts.io. So soldoutnfts.io. All case studies on there. They can just see how projects sell out. They can just do it themselves if they want to. If they want my help, they can go to Arvin K NFT. So that's ARVINK NFT on all socials. On Twitter, I'm most responsive, but they can reach out to me anywhere they want.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, and I'll make sure I put all the links in the podcast description, both on the audio and the video. Thank you very much, Arvin.
Perfect. Of course. Thanks for having me.
That's all for the Crypto Podcast. You'll find all our episodes on thecryptopodcast.org. As mentioned, we're on BitChute and YouTube. Be sure to give us a 5-star rating, thumbs up, share with your friends. It all helps. Until next week, take care.